Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today I'm going to be experimenting getting one user onto two Nintendo Switches. Now this should be possible because as of September 2018 we now have the online service, the service that you have to pay for. So I currently have that on this one here. I pay, I think it was £17 or £18 for the year, and with that it allows me access to play online against other people on, for example, Mario Kart. It will also give me access to quite a few NES games, and more will be released in the future. But one of the main features is that you can now have your game save data saved up in the cloud. So beforehand it was all saved on the console here, and if you lost the console or it got stolen or broken, then you would lose your game saves. Well, now if you subscribe to the online service, you can save it up in the cloud. So it saves here and in the cloud. So when you get another Nintendo Switch, you can just re-download it from the cloud and you can have it where you left off. So it really is a feature that was really needed for the Nintendo Switch. So it's great that it's come out. But one of the good features about this now is that apparently you can now sign into anybody's Nintendo Switch, download your games from the Nintendo eShop and play using your game saves, because remember they're saved up in the cloud. So beforehand this wasn't possible. You could either transfer all your data from here onto a new Switch, or if you signed in on somebody else's Switch into the Nintendo eShop, it would ask you if this was your home console. And obviously it's not, because this is your home console before, so there was no easy way of doing it. Well, now it should be relatively straightforward. So that's what I want to experiment with in this video, to see what happens. Can we log in here? Can we play? So for example, Rock and Racing Off-Road, I've gone through all the levels on that. When I play it on this one, will I also have gone through all the levels? What happens if I start replaying it here? Can I continue to play it on this one? For example, this might belong to one of your friends in another part of the country, or a family member. Can you share the games? What happens? There's a few questions that I want answers to, so I'm going to experiment with it in this video here. Right, so to begin with, let's get ourselves set up on this one here. So this is my home console, the one with all the games on, and this is the one that I buy all the digital content and stuff for, the one with the blue and red Joy-Cons. Pretend now that this is the new Nintendo Switch here, or this is your friend's Nintendo Switch, or your wife's, partner's, etc. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to set ourselves up on this one here. So I'm going to go and set myself up as a new user. Add new user. Next. Right, I'm just going to do anything because this is all going to be irrelevant, because this isn't actually going to be my nickname, because I'm going to end up transferring it from this one up here. Right, now it says here, linking to a Nintendo account enables you to fully enjoy the features. So I'm going to go to sign in. It says a system update is required before you can proceed. Fair enough, so let that just work its way through. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. Now this is the new user that we just did up here. We're going to go link to a Nintendo account. And now you see it's come up with something different. Yeah, so this is why you have to download the latest update. It says here, please link to a Nintendo account. And it says here, if you own another Nintendo Switch console. So let's tap this one, because this is a new option we've got here. And you can see here, if you own another Nintendo Switch console, you can bring it all over if you only plan on using this console from now on. So if this was going to be a replacement one, you could transfer everything over, but this is the one I want to do. If you plan on using both consoles, if you link to the same Nintendo account that you're using on the other console, any saved data that has been backed up on the saved data cloud can be downloaded on this console. A Nintendo Switch online membership is required to use the saved data cloud. Remember that you have to have the online membership. Right, so that's the one we want to do, the bottom one. So let's just go back, and we're going to go to sign in and link. Now I'm going to sign in using an email address or sign in, so I'm using the Nintendo one. Now I'm going to log in using the same details as this one here. So make a note of that. Can you see here, this is Donkey Kong with a white background, okay? And this one here is called Vince. So I'm going to be going into here, and when I sign in as myself, it will automatically bring across this user here, which is myself. So I have to do this off camera. Right, now I'm hitting sign in, and it says here, I just need to cover up the middle bit. It says here, the Nintendo account will be linked to the Nintendo Switch console. Note, Once this is done, you will not be able to change your linked account. And I'm going to go to link here. Whoops, go to back. Okay, and it's just saying please wait. There we go. You can see now I've been brought across. Vince. So that icon that I did earlier has now gone, and you can see it's been replaced by me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to download an eShop digital game. So if you have a look here on Rock and Racing Off-Road, you can see that I've actually completed all the different levels. Yeah? So now when I download this one, hopefully I will be able to get all this across on this one here. So let's exit this. So we're going to go into the eShop. We're going to go in as myself, because obviously if I go in as a different user, I'm not going to have the rights to download that game for free, because that user hasn't bought the game before. Now you will be able to download all your games onto here, and also your physical kart games as well. Of course, you can then just download the game save data. Okay, I've just got to enter my password for this bit. Okay, so we're now in the eShop, and what I want to do is I want to go up to my icon up here. So tap the top right. I'm just going to cover up this side here. And now if you have a look here, I've got an option to re-download over here. There we go. Right, and now all these games are available for me to re-download. So let me find Rock and Racing. You can see there it's like a cloud with a download sign. Rock and Racing, here we go. Just tap that, and now it says download started. So if we were to go back home, you will now see it's downloading here. So once it's downloaded, I'm then going to go into the game and see if I can save that data, download the data from the cloud, so I've got all the levels completed on this game on this Switch as well. And then we're going to start playing on each of them and see what happens. Also, what I want to do is I want to download a game and see if we can play it without the save data, because my thinking is, would it be possible for two people to share a game? So for example, if you had a very close friend or a family member that you trusted, then you could, if like Mario Odyssey was, let's say £50, you could pay £25 each. You could play it on here, and then the other person could play it on here under your name, but as a separate game save. Because if you were to disable the download feature, then the Switch wouldn't be connecting to the cloud. I'm just wondering if that's possible or not. As we're going to see later on when I mess around with this, I'm pretty sure that when you start playing on here, then it will, or when you start playing it here, it will kick you out here. But for example, if you knew your friend only played at the weekends and you play on the weekdays, then it could be an option. So I'm just going to wait for that to download. Alright, okay, good news, it has downloaded. So let's go into it now and see if it's actually working. Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do to begin with. I'm going to go into the other user, because this was one of the questions I had in my mind. Would it work with another user? So let's do that and see what happens. So it's saying checking whether it can be played. Right, this user cannot play this software. So only the user that the game belongs to can play the software, which makes sense. So if you have 6 other people on this Switch, those other 5 will not be able to play this game. Right, so let's go in as myself and see what happens. Checking to see whether this software can be played. So obviously now it's checking to see whether I've got the license to play it, and of course I have.
Rockin' Racing Off-Road.
Right, I just want to see now if it's brought across the save data. No, it hasn't. Right, okay, so we need to look into that. I'm now going to see if it can be played.
Let's go.
So this is now a completely new game, even though it's me playing it on this Switch. Yeah, so I'm the black one at the back there. Right, okay. So it's working. Now I want to see what happens if we go onto this one and start playing it. So this is the home Switch up here. Let's see what happens to this one down here. I'm going to continue to play it and see how long it takes before I get kicked out. Right, it's still working. There we go. Play will be suspended. It may be the case that the user linked to this Nintendo account on a different console is playing downloaded software or downloadable content. Visit the Nintendo support website, blah, blah, blah. So you can see there that the home console takes priority and it will kick you off this one here. Now I'm going to press OK. I'm going to exit out of this game. And now I'm going to start playing it here, and I'm going to see if I can go on it here to see whether this can take over this. I'm pretty sure it won't be able to. Remember, I've got all the different cups there, so let's go down South America Cup. Let's go across to the Monster. And now, while it's doing that there, I'm going to go back into it here and see what happens. Go in as Vince again. It's checking, and this is probably where it's going to kick us out. Okay, it says here, the save data backup for this software has failed. You can try again by going to the home menu and opening the options menu for the software, then selecting save data cloud. Well, we'll look at that in a minute. Let's go to start anyway and see if it lets me start. No, play will be suspended. So I've got that same message as we had before. So 100% it will not allow you to play it on both of them at the same time, which makes sense. Right, but as you can see, it works fine here, and this didn't interrupt it up here. It didn't kind of stop working up here and ask, you know, who do you want to play, which console do you want to play with. So the primary console, this one here, will always take you know, the ownership of the game, so it would take precedent over the other one. Right, okay, so let's exit out of this one here. And now I want to see if I can get the cloud saves over onto here. So I'm just going to hit the plus button, and I'm going to go down to Save Data Cloud Backup, and I'm going to go over to myself, and it says Vince not backed up. Right, and there it says automatically backup save data is currently off. So I'm going to leave it off for the time being, and I'll do it manually, but I'm going to download another game and we'll change that to on, and then we'll see whether it will automatically update it. So let's go to download save data, because remember, this now has been backed up already. So if we have a look here, well, it should have been backed up. If I go to Save Data Cloud, you see it says Vince backed up. So this is basically up to date. And if I was to go across to it, it would say that it's the same as the console. Right, automatically back up. 1 second now. Backup save data. There you go. The save data on the server and the save data on the console are the same. Okay, so we definitely know that that is up to date. So now let's go to download save data and see if it drags it across. Okay, and it just says the save data on the server is not a continuation of the data on this console. Alright, so overwrite save data on this console. And can you see it's moving down now? 100%. There we go, backed up. So now when we go back into this game, we should now have all those cars unlocked and also all those championships as well. Sorry, I pressed cancel, did I? No. There we go. And now if I go to championship, there you go. You can see now they're all available to me. So I can go to South America, Monster, Speedy. Excellent. So now everything is unlocked. Right, so that is working as it should do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to download another small game. I'm going to download this one here, King Oddball. And then we're going to see if we can play that independently. No, actually what I'll do with that one is I will download that automatically, the save data automatically, and we'll see whether we're on the same level here as here. Right, so this is all working fine. Right, this won't take long because it's a very small file. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press the plus and I'm going to go to Save Data Cloud. And this time I'm going to set it to automatic instead of off. So there we go, automatically save backup save data. Okay, so this one's on. It looked like by default this was on, yet the other one was off by default, which is a bit strange. Anyway, so now when I go into it, you can see how quick it was to download. It's just more like a mobile phone game, really. Right, okay, well, that's a brand new game, so it hasn't saved the data. Let's go back. It says not backed up. Right, it says save data will be backed up automatically when the console is connected to the internet, including when the console is in sleep mode. Right, okay, but it hasn't actually... Let me turn that on and off. No, it says not backed up. The save data on this console is not a continuation of the data on the server. So it looks like you manually have to do it by going to download save data, even though I've got it on up here. Right, and there you go. You can see now it's moving down. So from this tiny little testing, it looks like it doesn't happen automatically, which I thought it would do. But then again, maybe I'm wrong. I'm only doing, you know, I've only done it a couple of times. It says Vince backed up now. Right, okay, this is definitely not a first level. Let me just whiz through this so I can show you the level that it's on. Yeah, this is right, so you can see now that these have been done down here. Right, okay, so it looks like it definitely works, but from this little bit of testing, it doesn't look like it happens automatically, which could be a good thing, because I'm thinking now, if you did go halves, for example, on King Oddball with a friend, even though it's a game that only costs £2 or £3, then one of you could be playing on here under your normal save data, and then the other one could start afresh on this one. And even though he's playing it under your username, could he not just continue to play it as if it was his own game, as long as he doesn't upload it to the cloud or download from the cloud? Because here under the cloud save, can you see we have an option to, wait until it comes up, backup save data and also download save data. So it says here the save data on the console will be backed up to the server. So let me see if I can do that now. Close the software. Let me see if I can back up that. Yeah, you can. So now when I go back onto here, it's going to have updated. Because remember, we've completed one more level on that King Oddball. Yeah, so it does definitely work both ways, which is how it should do. But I'm just thinking, if you were to turn that off, now I could continue playing Oddball on here, and in theory I could complete the game on here without affecting King Oddball there. Now I might be wrong, because maybe once a week or once a day it automatically updates anyway. But from this little bit of testing, I don't think it does. So that could be an interesting one. Now, what I'm going to do is, I've heard it won't work if you don't have access to the internet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to turn off the internet and see if we still have access here or not. So I've turned off the internet coming into the house. I'm just going to wait until that goes out, which is just done now. And now we're going to try and play this game again and see what it comes up with. Okay, so it's checking now, see if it can be played. So I presume this is where it's going to fail. There we go, unable to connect to the network device. Yeah, of course, on the one home console, we can play it because you don't need the internet to play the majority of the games. Okay, so you can see it's working there. Right, let me turn the internet back on. Right, a couple more things to try. Once I get the internet back on again, I want to see if I can go onto the Nintendo games online, you know, the new NES games, and then see if that works on the second console. It's back on, so I just want to see if I can do the Nintendo Entertainment System online, you know, the NES games. Downloaded. I'm just going to use the other user just to make sure it's definitely going to fail, which it does. There you go, sign in. So let me go to myself. Working fine. Let me just check the save data. Right, okay, but the save data again is not there, so it definitely There it is, the save slot is there now. So it looks like it doesn't do it automatically unless it's a time thing. Maybe it happens every time at midnight or once a week or something. I really don't know. I thought it would have just happened every time you opened up a game, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Now the last thing I want to try is I want to see whether it's possible to download it onto a third Nintendo Switch. I don't know whether there's a limit, whether you can only do one, or whether there's, for example, you can do it onto 10. I really don't know if there's a limit or not. So we know that you can only play it on one at a time, but is there a limit to how many you can do? So I'm going to put it onto a third one. Okay, so this is the third Nintendo Switch. This is my Nintendo Switch XL. So yeah, it works. So the third Switch definitely does work. If you look here, it's gone to Metal Slug. If I was to try to play this as someone other than myself, it won't let me do it. But yet, if I go onto it as myself, then it works. So it definitely works on the third console. There you go. So I think that's a really interesting feature to have now, and it is useful. It's not going to be useful for everybody because most people just have the one Switch, but when it comes to families and stuff, there's definitely uses for it. Now what I'm interested to find out, and some of you might already know the answer to this, is if it is possible to kind of do a game share. I know it doesn't work the same as Xbox or PlayStation because that really is possible and it works really well, but when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, let's just say now we had one person on this one here and another person on this one here. You both buy a game, a £50 game, and you pay £25 each. This one here plays it Monday to Friday and this one here plays it at the weekends. Would it be possible, even though you're under the same username, to have two completely separate games, or eventually after a week or two would they sync up with each other, and then the person here who's only on level 2 might jump up to level 5 if the person on here is level 5. It'd be just interesting to know whether there's that opportunity to not have it upload from here. Now I know the one on here will always have to be connected to the internet, but connecting to the internet, is that purely to see if you've got the license to play it, or is it going to, at that point there, check the save data as well? As you've seen in this video here, it didn't do it automatically. When I went onto the game, each time you were doing it from the beginning, unless I physically downloaded it from the cloud onto here or onto here. But I'm wondering whether that's because I was just downloading it straight away, as you've seen in the video, and I didn't give it an opportunity to do the cloud save, because maybe it only happens at the end of each day. If you know the answer to that, please put it down in the comments. Hopefully you liked this video. I had a lot of questions to answer and this answered it all, so hopefully it answered it for you guys as well. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more how-to videos. Take care, bye now.